Right on. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming to this press conference we organized today. My name is Brock Satter. I'm with Mass Action Against Police Brutality. We wanted to organize this press conference to be a report back of a very important trip that we took last week. The weekend of July 11th and 12th in Minneapolis, there was a National Mothers March Against Police Violence and a weekend against police violence where over 110 families gathered from across the country who've lost loved ones to the police and sharing their common fight and trying to figure out which way forward in this fight. So it was a historic gathering and coming out of this march, there's plans to continue to press forward on the common demands that the march was about. The central demand being the conviction and jailing of the cops that killed George Floyd. The other being to end the system of policing as we know it. And finally, the demand to prosecute the police and to reopen all past cases of police brutality and prosecute those police who are guilty. So we had a few families from Boston that were able to make the trip. A couple of them are here today. The family of Terrence Coleman, the family of Rahim, and also the family of Burrell Ramsey White also was able to make the trip. His mother, Carla Sheffield, was not able to make it to the press conference today because of prior conflict. So she did leave some words for the press conference. I just wanted to share those now. So these are the words of Carla Sheffield. She wrote, "The pain of losing a son by the very people who are supposed to protect us hurts enough, but to be denied true justice by a discriminatory system is a slap in the face. Since Boston keeps saying we are not like other states, let's look at all the mothers in pain and the cases you were so quick to justify and then compare. My son Burrell was pulled over in a routine traffic stop. Tell me why he's not here since we're not other states." So those are the words of Carla Sheffield. I wanted to point out, since we've been on the streets demanding to reopen the case, the message is really going across the country. It's clearly what all the families were also raising from one section of the country to the other, from Alaska to Florida to Texas to Baltimore to New York to California to St. Louis to Minneapolis. Everyone's demanding reopen the case. And right here in Boston, we're doing the same thing. So since we've been doing that, we've seen groups form here in the state of Massachusetts. In Framingham, groups formed around the case of Yuri Stamps, who was killed in a botched drug raid, a police raid several years back in Framingham. Now they're demanding that case be looked into again. There's the family of DJ Henry, who he was killed in New York, but they have the family's based here in Massachusetts, and they've been speaking out about this, but now very loudly they're demanding that case be reopened. DJ Henry's case is about 10 years old now. And one of the more recent cases we heard of in New Bedford of Malcolm Gracia, that family is stepping forward, asking this case to be reopened. We know there's more families out there. We want all of us to come together, to work together, and that was really the heart of this Mother's March, was to unify all these voices into one big voice and demand, that we truly hold these police accountable, that all these police cases should be prosecuted, all these cases should be reopened. I'm just going to read one of the declarations that was adopted at the conference over the weekend on July 11th to 12th, and then I'll turn it over to the other mothers who are here today. This is the declaration of the National Mothers March and Weekend Against Police Violence, July 11th to 12th, 2020, Minneapolis, Minnesota. We come from all walks of life. We may be strangers, we may be friends, and we may not always see eye to eye. But we know better than anyone the pain of losing our loved one to the hands of the police and the insult of having what's supposed to be our own government cover up these crimes to protect the killers. Our loved one's death may have received national attention or may have never received the attention it deserved. But we resolve to support each other in our fight for justice through our criminal and civil cases. We must come together, united in one voice, to demand justice for all. Mothers and families of those killed by police call on the protest movement, all organizations, organizers, politicians, clergy, public figures, and protesters to not use our loved one's murder at the hands of the police to advance any agenda that does not include justice. We call on the world's support in our fight by demanding that all past cases of police brutality be reopened. We demand the prosecution and conviction of all cops guilty of murder, abuse, and cover-ups, and those in government who aid and abet them. We call on all protesters to remain in the streets and join us in this historic and righteous struggle. We must end the system of policing as we know it, because our protest will not stop until we receive justice. Till we win, justice for all, prosecute the police, reopen all past cases of police brutality. Next stop, Department of Justice, Washington, D.C., August 28, 2020. Reopen all the cases. So just on that last note, there is a call for another national action, this time in D.C. at the Department of Justice, demanding all these cases be reopened. We know many of these families that gathered in Minneapolis will be a part of that, and hopefully many others who missed out and want to be a part of this movement will seize this opportunity to join this call. Mass action, for our part, we're going to help organize a caravan to Minneapolis, and we want to reach out to all groups and the individuals who support this cause to get involved and help build that caravan. Check out our website, maapb.org, for upcoming events and activities that are going to be geared towards making a huge delegation from Boston participate in this, once again, another historic action coming up August 28th. And in general, we hope to see more groups, more individuals, more demonstrations clearly joining the call to reopen all the cases. And we want to see these government officials, Governor Baker, Rachel Rollins, all these county prosecutors do their job, reopen all these cases and make sure that these citizens get true justice. And so we want to prosecute these guilty police. So thanks. Next, we want to bring up Rahima Ibrahim, the mother of Osama Rahim, who was killed in 2015 by Boston police and the FBI.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rahima Ibrahim. I'm the mother of Osama Rahim, who was killed in Roslindale, Massachusetts on June 2nd, 2015 by the Boston Police Department and the FBI. I went on that Mother's March to Minneapolis, and it was amazing. I went along with two other mothers from Boston. We traveled there and arrived in Minneapolis and met hundreds of other people who were there to meet and to gain strength from each other and to put together a platform that will ask for all of the cases to be reopened and to ask that justice would be done and that the police officers that were responsible for killing our loved ones are indicted and prosecuted. It's very interesting. I came across an article called the Prison Policy Initiative. And it says here, police violence is a systemic problem in the United States, not simply incidental. And it happens on a scale far greater than at any other wealthy nations. And on a chart, it shows that the United States has the highest incidence of police killing civilians, higher than any other of the wealthier countries. The United States the police kill on average 33.5 people per every 10 million, whereas Canada, their police civilian death rate is only 9.8. Australia is 8.5. The Netherlands is 2.3. New Zealand is 2.0. Germany is 1.3. And England is 0.5. Again, America's is 33.5. And it's not unusual that the majority of those that are killed by the police are disproportionately divided among the Black, the Hispanic, and the other people of color. Deaths per million of the Black community is 31. And the Hispanic community, it's 23. In the white community, it's 13. And in the other communities, it's 4. Statistics don't lie. These numbers don't lie. And I also came across something else. I wanted to find out who goes into the police force, who becomes a police officer. Because if you're not suited for the job, then you should get out of that job. If you're afraid of everything, if you're afraid of people, if you don't like people, don't take the job as a police officer, because we don't need you and we don't want you killing our people. If you're a surgeon and you don't like going into the operating room, you can't stand the sight of blood, then that's not the job for you, is it? If you're a nurse and you cannot be compassionate to your patients and take care of your patients, is that the job for you? No. How about a teacher? A teacher who hates kids, who doesn't want to teach, doesn't want to even be there. Get out of the job. If you're a police officer and you're afraid of everything and you can't deal with people, you don't know how to negotiate, then you don't need to be a police officer and we don't want you. Move on. The police officers took an oath. And here's the police officer's oath. They say this: on my honor, I will never betray my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always maintain the highest ethical standards and uphold the values of my community and the agency I serve. Are we seeing that today? Are we seeing it today? People who want qualified immunity. What is this here when they say, I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions? I will always maintain the highest ethical standards. We need to reassess our police department. Reassess the oath that you've taken. If you're a police officer and you're out there, remember the oath you took. You're not keeping up to your promise to the people. Thank you. Hope.
Next, we got Hope Coleman, the mother of Terrence Coleman, who was killed by Boston police in 2016.
Hello, my name is Hope Coleman, Terrence Coleman's mom. I first like to say thank you for everyone that participated in the Minneapolis trip for the Mother's March. It was awesome. It was touching. Mothers that I didn't meet, I met. The ones that I met in March and other couple of times I've been in Minnesota. We was glad to see one another. We all feel the same pain, which we shouldn't have to. But our loved ones is what we're fighting for justice for, and for everyone else that couldn't come out. We're still fighting every day. It's time to stick together. It's time to reopen the cases. We have our kids, grandkids, ourselves. It's time for justice. I've been saying this over and over. My son would appreciate it if they turn around and do what they're supposed to do. Look at George Floyd. My condolence goes out to the family again. He was able to yell out for his mom. I was there with my son. He couldn't yell out. He was automatically gone when they shot him twice. And it was touching. And I'm so glad I made it to Minneapolis. Because it's part of me and my son also, and everyone else that lost a child. I wish I was there today to keep on moving. But we're going to start doing it here also. We're going to keep, we've been doing it. We're going to keep on it because we got the strength and the power. We got to stick together. My son didn't bother no one. My son was quiet. Just like you all's kids was quiet. Mine was extra quiet, just sitting down. They asked him to come out in the hallway. And I was about to let my son go to the ER. The doctor said call the ambulance, but the police came. There shouldn't be no cop to come when you ask for only the ambulance. If my son was still alive, it would be because I called for help. But I didn't know I wouldn't have called if I knew they were going to kill my son. I can't function normal. My son is gone, killed right in front of me. We both were thrown down, knocked down when the door opened with the police. I still picture that every minute of the day. Something you can't erase. Someone I brought into the world and the police killed. When I'm trying to get help for my son, they kill him instead. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. And it's time for a change. Killing is not the answer. Why shoot to kill? You don't need a gun. Go back to school, try to learn how to deal with mental health. Complete the course. If it ain't working for you, then get the hell out. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks. So now that concludes the press conference. We just encourage people to continue to support, check Mass Action Against Police Brutality's website, MAAPB.org, for future updates on the local cases, as well as the upcoming caravan to D.C. and future local actions, demonstrations to reopen the case, to prosecute the police, and for justice. Thank you.